Good day, everyone. This is Mark Vello, and you're listening to Headline News. Biden says the U.S. government can't do anything about the COVID-19 pandemic in the coming months. There's nothing we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months, Biden said during a speech at the White House on Friday, January 22nd. A briefing from his economic team showed that the public health crisis caused by COVID-19 is not getting better, it's deepening. Today, I am signing an executive order that directs a whole-of-government effort to help millions of Americans who are badly hurting. It requires all federal agencies to do what they can do to provide relief to families, small businesses, and communities. And in the days ahead, I expect agencies to act, Biden said. He also cited the latest wave of unemployment filings and the rise in the number of daily cases. A lot of America is hurting. The virus is surging. We are 400,000 dead and expected to reach well over 600,000. Families are going hungry. People are at risk of being evicted. Job losses are mounting again, he added. Biden's remark prompted criticism. Haven't we been told for months that restrictions and mandates were necessary to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months? Former Representative Justin Amash of Michigan wrote in a tweet. Recently, in an effort to curb the spread of the CCP virus, Democratic governors in many states have introduced draconian measures that have led to numerous job losses and business closures. But Biden also said that the administration will act to help people hit by the outbreak. He said, while the COVID-19 package that passed in December was a first step, as I said at the time, it's just a down payment. We need more action, and we need to move fast. Biden proposed a $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief plan last week that features $1,400 checks to those that already got $600 payments from the bill Congress passed last month, and an increase in the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. This relief plan is awaiting approval by the U.S. Congress. As the CCP concealed the outbreak in late 2019, it led the global spread of the CCP virus. The outbreak improved slightly after the summer of 2020. However, from late November to early December 2020, several more variant strains of the disease emerged in several countries, and the global outbreak began to worsen. The U.S. Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, which has repeatedly overprojected deaths from COVID-19, estimates the number of deaths reaching 568,806 by May the 1st. U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci said on January 21st that there are always lags in current U.S. outbreak notification figures. So please be aware that when you have cases, a couple of weeks later, you'll see it represented in hospitalizations, intensive care, and then another couple of weeks later in deaths. U.S. Congresswoman introduces bill to block Biden from rejoining the Paris Climate Accord. Colorado Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert introduced a bill on Thursday, January 21st, that requires Senate approval before the U.S. government can return to the Paris Climate Accord. The bill has been co-sponsored by 11 Republican lawmakers. In the bill, Boebert prohibits Congress from appropriating funds to implement the Paris Climate Accord, unless the Senate approves it. She argues that the Paris Climate Accord kills jobs for Americans. Right after Biden was sworn in on January 20th, he signed an executive order to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, citing that the climate is in crisis. The Trump administration announced its formal withdrawal from the accord on November 4, 2020. In a news conference on Thursday, Boebert said the Obama administration got it wrong in 2016 when it unilaterally announced it was joining the Paris Climate Accord without U.S. Senate approval. And Biden got it wrong again when he unilaterally announced his return to the Paris Climate Accord on January 20th. My bill prohibits Congress from spending a single penny on the Paris Agreement until this treaty is ratified by the United States Senate, said Ms. Boebert in the press release. Joe Biden took an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. If he wants to keep it, he must transmit the job-killing Paris Agreement to the U.S. Senate for ratification. She also said the Trump administration launched a responsible energy program that provided 230,000 jobs in her state of Colorado, and that rejoining the Paris Climate Accord puts these jobs at risk and will increase energy costs. $4 per gallon of gasoline. Here we go again, she said. The Washington Times said that although the U.S. Senate is currently controlled by Democrats, the Paris Climate Agreement would require the support of 2/3 of the senators to pass in the Senate, making it difficult for the agreement to pass. However, the Democrats argue that it is an executive agreement that does not require Senate approval, rather than a treaty which would require Senate approval. The Obama administration pledged to reduce U.S. carbon dioxide emissions by 26 to 28% from 2005 to 2025, when it joined the Paris Climate Agreement in 2016. But the Trump administration argued that the agreement was very unfair to the U.S. because the Chinese Communist Party, the world's second largest economy and the largest emitter of carbon dioxide, only committed to reaching the country's peak emissions by 2030. The U.S. government has reduced carbon emissions by replacing coal with natural gas. From 2018 to 2019, carbon emissions from U.S. power stations decreased by 2.9%, according to the International Energy Agency. Congressman calls for investigation into the COVID-19 virus origin, asks for compensation from the CCP. On January 22nd, Senator Josh Hawley and Representative Elise Stefanik are calling for an international investigation into the origins of the CCP virus outbreak, COVID-19, and asking for compensation from the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. The resolution was reintroduced after it was originally introduced in March 2020. Hawley introduced the resolution, co-sponsored by Stefanik, calling for international investigation into the CCP's cover-up of the global pandemic. The resolution demands the WHO to quantify the harm of the global pandemic caused by the CCP on the international community, the affected nations, and design a mechanism to deliver compensation from China. It has been 1 year since the first confirmed COVID-19 case in the U.S., and China continues to stonewall any credible investigation into the origins of this deadly pandemic. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization, which President Biden has praised, has shown itself to be, at the best, incompetent and, at worst, a pawn of the Chinese Communist Party, Hawley said in a statement on January 22nd. The action by the two congressmen occurs when Biden retracted that withdrawal from the WHO. Biden retracted that withdrawal this week and alerted the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, that the U.S. would remain part of the organization. WHO scientists arrived in China last week, but amid concerns that the investigation will be hampered by China, who spent months hashing out the terms of the probe with the WHO. Hawley and Stefanik noted comments by scientists on the mission who reportedly said the investigation is not about finding China guilty, Therefore, the two congressmen demand that Biden push forward a new investigation on the CCP virus origin. Stefanik said that Biden has the power to demand answers from the World Health Organization as to why it promoted Chinese misinformation about the pandemic. Instead, President Biden made the illogical decision to rejoin the WHO without repercussions or demands for critical reforms, she said. President Biden must stand up for the American people and hold taxpayer-funded global organizations like the WHO responsible when America's interests are being ignored. This concludes today's broadcast. Thank you for your time, and stay tuned for the next Headline News.